Hold on, am I supposed to wear, like, clothes under this stuff, or what?
As I'm a digital cyber demon!
Welcome to Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Alex here with another accident analysis. No, that guy didn't actually die. I've got a pretty dark sense of humor, but even I wouldn't make fun of someone dying publicly. Now, this wreck was clearly caused by an impatient or erroneous judgment by the driver of the white car, but it was also far from an unavoidable wreck. And you know what? I bet the fact the rider wasn't at fault provided a lot of comfort to them when they were bedridden in the hospital recovering from their 2 broken arms. Until robot cars take over and we're relegated to brains in jars, we have to follow the wise and timeless words of the modern philosophers, the Wu-Tang Clan. You gotta protect your neck, bitches.
Wu-Tang Financial.
You need to diversify your bonds, nigga. This ain't trading places, nigga. This is real life. Protect your goddamn neck.
Alright, let's talk dirty about intersections.
As always, we'll lay out the facts of the situation first so we're all on the same page. But keep in mind, the writer may or may not have been as familiar with this area as we are about to be. I don't try to be creepy, but I do find it helpful to know exactly where these wrecks occur if I can. So I did some NCIS level sleuthing and took this sign here to figure out it happened near a city called Nashua near a Highway 111, which indicates this was in Nashua, New Hampshire. Actually, I could have just checked the comments to figure that out. Whoops. Then I looked for local landmarks, which this video really only has 2 clearly visible, a Shell station and a 7-Eleven. I checked for Shell stations in Nashua and cross-referenced where 7-Elevens were and found really only one match. Double-checking Google Street View, and voila, here it is. Sorry, I was just really proud of that. Anyway, the rider's driving on Main Dunstable Road in Nashua, New Hampshire. This stretch is kind of an interesting traffic pattern. You have 2 lanes of traffic traveling each way, but traffic opposite the rider has the leftmost lane to turn against oncoming traffic. However, there is no dedicated turn lane. The speed limit on this stretch is 30 miles per hour for both directions, but it's impossible to tell how fast the rider is going due to the fidelity of the camera lens and the shadow compared to the glare of the sun, except for this one frame right here. So as he hits the car, the bike's front angles up and we can see the 33 mile per hour clearly visible on the dash. Since he's slowing down briefly at this point, we can safely assume he's traveling around 35 to 45 miles per hour approaching the intersection. Although that's above the 30 mile per hour posted speed limit, it seems to be within the flow of traffic around him. Alright, so here we are. The road this rider has been on was a single lane each direction, but at this point it splits into 2 lanes each way. With this additional space, it seems like the rider's looking to overtake the car in front of them, albeit not very quickly. Part of the issue in this situation lies with the gray car in front of the rider. We know there's no possible left turn for a significant distance, so there's no reason for this car to be in the leftmost lane and force the rider to pass in the right lane. This creates a blind spot for the white car and the rider. Regardless, we have to adapt to the poor driving of those around us. There are multiple intersections in this small stretch of road. The first mistake this rider made was attempting to start overtaking in an intersection. Due to the uncertainty of what other drivers are going to do, it's always advisable to avoid passing, changing lanes, wheelies, or really anything other than just riding at attention through an intersection. While the rider is slowly gaining on the gray car in front of them, their lane position really doesn't seem to have any rhyme or reason. The rider's between positions 1 and 2 in the lane, which creates the blind spot for oncoming traffic due to the soft curve of the stretch of road, but more importantly, prevents the rider's visibility of oncoming traffic, mainly the turn lane. If they were going to pass this car during these intersections, they should be in position 3, to the far outside of the lane to give them the ability to see what opposite traffic is doing and give drivers looking to make a turn better chance to see the rider. Finally, this rider doesn't seem to take any significant additional cautionary steps during intersections. Upon entering an intersection, unless it's completely clear, you should provide additional gaps in space between yourself and cars around you, roll off the throttle, and be scanning for threats coming from all directions. This might sound extreme, paranoid, or Armodo, but in reality, it actually isn't that onerous. As you approach the intersection, roll off the throttle and get a lay of the land, maybe a second or 2. Scan left and right for cars looking to enter your lane, and confirm if there's oncoming traffic that might look to cross in front of you. If there aren't any threats, take the space. If there are, well, you're better prepared. This rider takes no evasive action or emergency braking steps until way past the point of no return, indicating that they didn't really seem to be aware of the potential that there was going to be a collision. And just some generic advice to this rider and everyone else, and it isn't particularly unique or poignant, but you gotta practice your emergency stops. The rider seems to clutch in, but never gets to rolling off the throttle as you see the RPMs rise right before the collision. Practice this shit, friends. Alright, that's a wrap. What should we take away from this? 1. Avoid unnecessary additional risks at intersections. Know that intersections amp up the risk factors when riding. It usually pays to ride more cautiously at all intersections. 2. Lane position for visibility in intersections. Leaving a gap between you and cars in front of you, and being in lane position 1 if there is opposite direction traffic turns, goes a long way to reduce the chance other vehicles are going to make bad decisions. 3. Be especially alert at intersections. Your scan, focus, and spidey sense should be at maximum when approaching an intersection.
All hands, battle stations.
Although there was some talk about a civil suit in the comments, I get the sense that they might not actually be pursuing it. As someone very much on their way to executing a civil suit, it's a time-consuming process for oftentimes an uncertain gain, even if the other party is completely at fault. So I can empathize with anyone who just doesn't want to deal with the hassle. Also, some people really have an unrealistic expectation of how much money they're going to get through the legal system for some shit like this. You're suing a single person who probably won't make $800K in their lifetime. They're not Gawker. While I'm still waiting for people to realize I have a Patreon, or to care enough to pledge to it, I've decided to accept sponsorships to help pay for the crippling debts I'm accruing purchasing weird and probably unnecessary audio and video equipment. I mean, do I really need whatever the hell this is? I think I do. I mean, like, listen to my audio right now. It sounds like shit. So I am proud to say that this video was sponsored by drugs. Do them. Until next time, ride fast and take chances. And don't do drugs while you're riding. Watching this video and reading through the comments, I realized there's a lot of people who said some very nasty things about the person driving the white car. And I empathize with the white car driver because the first accident I ever got into was almost identical to this. Not quite as bad. I was up in Alaska driving my F-150, and similar, where it was 2 lanes each direction except for I was in a dedicated turn lane. There was a lot of traffic on that road going the other way, so I was kind of trying to squeeze between 2 cars. And there was a car going faster than the speed limit, but they were coming the opposite direction. So I was like, I'm gonna cut right behind that person really rapidly, and then I'll be fine. So the car gets up to the intersection, and I basically just bolt and turn to the left, and behind that car was this really small Honda Civic going, just happened to be basically the exact same speed, and I couldn't see him. And so I whipped, and by the time I realized it, I was more or less like, I couldn't stop my vehicle fast enough to avoid head-oning between that car. So I got hit in my front right bumper by that car's front left bumper. Fortunately, neither of us got hurt. My airbag deployed. It didn't even hit me in the face. It just kind of exploded and then sat there. Smells like shit, by the way. So that was the end of both cars. My insurance paid for it. I think I hit State Farm at the time because I was on my parents' insurance, and they dropped me immediately. State Farm does not allow you to ever make a mistake, really. They have very low rates, but they do not want you to actually ever use them, or get the fuck out of here, basically. Look, we all make mistakes. You gotta learn from it. You gotta not make them yourself. You gotta help other people make the right decision. Help them help you. Help them help you. Help them help you.